Hare Krishna, welcome to all devotees. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiret Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nishtiki. Hare Krishna. Today we continuing Srimad Bhagavatam Canto first, chapter 13. Dhritarashtra quits home. Shloka number 52 to 54. Shroto saptabhi ya vai
सप्तमीया वै
स्वधूनि सप्तधा विधात्
सप्तधा व्यथा
सप्तानां प्रीते नाना
वितये नाना
सप्तश्रोतः प्रचक्षते
सप्तः प्रचक्षते
स्नात्वा अणुसवणं तस्मिन्
आत्मा अनुसवनं तस्मिन्
भूत्वा च अग्नि इन यथा विधि
च अग्नि अन्य यथा विधि
अग्नि यथा विधि
अग्नि यथा विधि
अपभक्ष उपशांता आत्मा
च उपशान्तम् आत्मा
शांता आत्मा सह आस्ते विगत ऐषण
ते विगत ऐषणः
जीत आसन जित श्वास
आसनश्वासः
प्रत्याहृत षट इंद्रिय
प्रत्याहृतषट इन्द्रियः
हरि भावनया ध्वस्त ध्वस्त रजः सत्वतम अमलम
सत्त्वतमः अमलः
मल तमः मलः श्रोतोभिः सप्तभिः या वै
सप्तभी या वै
स्वः धूनि सप्तता वेदात्
सप्तधा व्यथा
सप्तानां प्रीतये नाना
तान् वितये नाना
सप्तश्रोतः प्रचक्षते
सप्तस्रोतः प्रचक्षते
स्नात्वा अणुसवणं तस्मिन्
आत्मा सौनं तस्मिन्
भूत्वा च अग्निन् यथा विधि
च अग्निकाविधि
अपभक्ष उपशान्त आत्मा
आत्मा
स आस्ते विगत ऐषणः जीत आसन जित श्वासः
वासः
प्रत्याहृत षट इंद्रियः
प्रत्याहृतषट इन्द्रियः
हरि भावनया ध्वस्त
विभावस्त
रज सत्व तमः मलः
तमः मलः
मलः श्रोतोभिः सप्तभिः या वै स्वधुनी सप्तता वेदात् सप्तानां प्रीते नाना सप्तश्रोत प्रचक्षते स्नात्वा अणुसवणं तस्मिन् भूत्वा च अग्निं यथा विधि अपभक्ष उपशांत आत्मा स आस्ते विगत ऐषण जित आसन जित श्वास प्रत्यारुत षट इंद्रिय हरि भावनया ध्वस्त रज सत्वतम मल
भूतोऽधि सप्तधीर्या वै स्वतुनिः सप्तधा व्यधात् सप्तानां त्रिचयेनानां सप्तस्रोतः प्रचक्षते स्नात्वा अनुसवनं तस्मिन् हुत्वा च अग्निन् यथा विधि अपभक्ष्य उपशान्त आत्मा स आस्ते विगतैषणः जीत आसनः जीत श्वासः प्रत्याहृतशत इन्द्रियः हरिभावनया ध्वस्तरजः सत्वतममलः
आशीष प्रभु जी प्लीज रीड
श्रोतवीः सप्तभिर्या वै स्वरधूनि सप्तध व्याधात् सप्तनां
बहुत
तृतीये
बड़ा
नाना सप्तस्रोतः प्रचक्षते सनत अनुसावनां तस्मिन् हुत्वा च अग्निन यथाविधि अभक्ष उपसंत आत्मा उपसंतात्मा स आस्ते विगतै सनिः जितसानो जितस् स्वसः प्रत्ययार्तो सद इंद्रियः हरिभावनाय ध्वस्त राजसत्वतमो मलः.
Hare Krishna. Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The place is called Saptasrota, divided by 7, because there the waters of the sacred Ganges were divided into 7 branches. This was done for the satisfaction of the 7 great ṛṣis on the banks of Saptasrota. Dhritarashtra is now engaged in beginning aṣṭāṅga-yoga by bathing 3 times daily, in the morning, noon, and evening, by performing the Agni-hotra sacrifice with fire, and by drinking only water. This helps one control the mind and the senses and frees one completely from thoughts of familial affection. One who has controlled the sitting posture, the yogic asanas, and the breathing process can turn the senses toward the absolute personality of Godhead, and thus become immune to the contamination of the models of material nature, namely mundane goodness, passion, and ignorance. Purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The yoga system is mechanically way to control the senses and the mind and divert them from matter to spirit. The preliminary processes are the sitting posture, meditation, spiritual thoughts, manipulation of air passing with the body, and gradual situation in trance, facing the absolute person, Paramatma. Such mechanical ways of rising to the spiritual platform prescribe some regulative principles of taking bath daily 3 times, fasting as far as possible, sitting and concentrating the mind on spiritual matters, and thus gradually becoming free from vishay or material objectives. Material existence means to be absorbed in the material objective, which is simply illusory. House, country, family, society, children, property, and business are some of the material coverings of the spirit, Atma, and the yoga system helps one to become free from all these illusory thoughts and gradually turn toward the absolute person, Paramatma. By material association and education, we learn simply to concentrate on filmy things, but yoga is the process of forgetting them altogether. Modern so-called yogis and yoga systems manifest some magical feats, and ignorant persons are attracted by such false things, or they accept the yoga system as a cheap healing process for diseases of the gross body. But factually, the yoga system is the process of learning to forget what we have acquired throughout the struggle for existence. Dhritarashtra was all along engaged in improving family affairs by raising the standard of living of his sons, or by usurping the property of the Pandavas for the sake of his own sons. These are common affairs for a man grossly materialistic and without knowledge of the spiritual force. He does not see how this can drag one from heaven to hell. By the grace of his younger brother, Vidura, Dhritarashtra was enlightened and could see his grossly illusory engagement, and by such enlightenment, he was able to leave home for spiritual realization. Sri Narad Dev was just foretelling the way of his spiritual progress in a place which was sanctified by the flow of the celestial Ganges. Drinking water only without solid food is also considered fasting. This is necessary for advancement of spiritual knowledge. A foolish man wants to be a cheap yogi without observing the regulative principles. A man who has no control over the tongue at first can hardly become a yogi. Yogi and bhogi are two opposite terms. The bhogi or the merry man who eats and drink cannot be a yogi. For a yogi is never allowed to eat, drink, and drink unrestrictedly. We may note with profit how Dhritarashtra began his yoga system by drinking water only and sitting calmly in a place with a spiritual atmosphere, deeply absorbed in the thoughts of the Lord Hari, the personality of Godhead. The preliminary activities of the way of yoga are asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dhyan, dharana, etc. Maharaj Dhritarashtra was to attain success in those preliminary actions because he was seated in a sanctified place and was concentrating upon one objective, namely the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. Thus, all his senses were being engaged in the service of the Lord. This process directly helps the devotee to get freedom from the contamination of the three material modes of nature. Even the highest mode, the material mode of goodness, is also a cause of material bondage. And what to speak of other qualities, namely passion and ignorance. Passion and ignorance increase the material propensities of hankering for material enjoyment, and a strong sense of lust provokes the accumulation of wealth and power. One who has conquered these two base mentalities and has raised himself to the platform of goodness, which is full of knowledge and morality, cannot also control the senses, namely the eyes, tongue, the nose, the ear, and touch. But one who has surrendered himself unto the lotus feet of Lord Hari, as above mentioned, can transcend all influences of the modes of material nature and be fixed in the service of the Lord. The Bhakti Yoga process therefore directly applies the senses to the loving service of the Lord. This prohibits the performer from engaging in material activities. This process of turning the senses from material attachment to the loving transcendental service of the Lord is called pratyahar, and the very process is called pranayam, ultimately ending in samadhi or absorption in pleasing the Supreme Lord by Hari all means. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana चक्षुर्मिलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवाञ्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांच नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा। Today we continuing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13. Yudhishthir, Dhritarashtra quits the home. Shloka from 52 to 54. Here the seven stars revolving around the polestar are at the zenith. Prabhuji will tell you in detail.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So here we are continuing with this chapter, shloka number 53, 54, and 52. So we are saying that Narad Muni is not only clearing the anxiety of Yudhishthir Maharaj, but now also explaining what is happening to his uncle, that is Dhritarashtra. So very first thing which he is telling to them is, please don't worry. Your uncle has gone to a place which is called Saptasrota. Saptasrota, that is divided by 7. So it is a place where the waters of sacred Ganges were divided into 7 branches, and it was done to satisfy the 7 great rishis. And there in that pious place, your uncle, your auntie, Vidurji, they are engaged. They have started aṣṭāṅga-yoga system. So they are bathing 3 times daily, in the morning, in the noon, in the evening. They are performing Agni-hotra yagya with fire, and they are drinking only water. So with all this, it is helping them to control the mind and senses, and they are getting freed completely from the thoughts of familial affection. In fact, Yudhishthir Maharaj, if someone controls the sitting postures, that it yoga, asanas, controls the breathing process, then they can turn the senses towards absolute truth, which is the absolute supreme personality of Godhead, available in everyone's heart as Paramatma, and become immune to the contaminations of the modes of material nature. So whether it is passion, ignorance, or even goodness. So this place, Saptasrota, it is of prime importance. Because here, the river Ganges, which was coming in a singular flow, was divided into 7 streams for the benefit of the 7 ṛṣis. Now you all know the 7 stars, which are rotating around the polestar. So that is the saptarṣi-maṇḍala. So among these 7 stars, which they form the topmost system of a planetary system. And there on each one of those stars resides the 7 rishis. So in Bhagavatam 8th canto, 13th chapter, there's description of all the 7 rishis in all the kalpas. Like in current kalpa, it is mentioned in 5th shloka, Kashyapah Atri Vasishtha cha Vishwamitra Atha Gautama Jamadagni Bharadvaja iti saptarishah sprita. So Kashyap, Atri, Vasishtha, Vishwamitra, Gautam, Jamadagni, Bharadvaj are known as the 7 sages. And then in 15th and 16th shloka, it is going to be explained about who are the rishis in the 8th Manvantara. Malavha Dipti Manarama Drona Putra Krupah Tatha Rushi Shrunga Pitasmakam Bhagwan Badarayana Ime Saptarashaya Tatra Bhavishyanti Swayogata Idani Masate Rajan Swaswa Ashrama Mandale. So during the 8th Manvantara, the great personalities Galava, Diptiman, Parshuram, Ashwatthama, Kripacharya, Rasashranga, and Vyasdevji will be the 7 sages. And then in 10th Manvantara, it is mentioned in the 22nd shloka, Havishman, Shukruta, Satya, Jaya, Murti, and others will be the 7 rishis. So this place is very, very important. It is a place of spiritual enlightenment. And there are so many rishis have prepared their hermitages. And there, Dhritarashtra has gone. And what is he doing? He's practicing the aṣṭāṅga-yoga system. So yoga is a mechanical way to control the senses, the mind, and divert them from matter to spirit. So how does it start? So it starts from the sitting posture. Then meditation. then spiritual thoughts, then manipulation of air passing within the body, and then the fifth stage is gradual situation in trance facing Paramatma. And that is why it's little difficult, especially in Kali Yuga, when besides all the other things, we have mobile or social media which disturbs us immediately. So what to talk of sitting posture? Even if we manage their meditation, mushkil hai Prabhuji. And then getting into spiritual thoughts and then manipulating the air. And then being in trance. So this mechanical way of rising to spiritual platform, if someone has to follow, then they have to also ensure that they follow the regulative principles. And what are those? Taking bath 3 times, fasting as much as possible, sitting and concentrating on spiritual matters, and then becoming free from material objectives, that is Vishaya. This material existence actually means that we are absorbed in material objective, which ideally is completely illusory, simply illusory. And yoga system helps one to become free from all these illusory thoughts and turn towards absolute person, Paramatma. So by material association and education, we can learn to concentrate on flimsy things. But yoga is process of forgetting them altogether. So when students go to classes today, in maybe nursery, they are taught Baba Baba Black Sheep or the star, what I wonder who you are, up above the world so I. But then who is there? It's not diamond in the sky, it is like a Krishna in the sky. But this material association and education, they make us concentrate on flimsy things. And that is why yoga system is required. Because it is a process of learning to forget what we have acquired throughout the struggle for existence. So the man who is grossly materialistic and without knowledge of spiritual force is not able to see how this can drag one from heaven to hell. But because of the grace of younger brother Vidura, Dhritarashtra was enlightened and could see that all these illusory engagements, they have troubled him. So he got the enlightenment and so he could leave home for spiritual realization. And that he's taking progress in a place which is sanctified by the flow of celestial Ganges. And he's also following the regulative principles. He's drinking water only. He's not taking any solid food. So drinking only water is also considered fasting. And it is very necessary for advancement of spiritual knowledge. That is why on Ekadashi, if you all remember, what we generally recommend is Nirjala. If not Nirjala, then Sajala. If not Sajala, then Sadugdha. If not Sadugdha, then Safala. If not Safala, then Hare Krishna. Because a man who cannot control the tongue can never become a yogi. Yogi and bhogi. So bhogi is a person who eats, who drinks. But a yogi is never allowed to drink and eat unrestrictedly. Jivha Ado. In Nectar of Instructions, Rupa Goswami ji has told us, Swayameva Spurteva Daha, that Krishna will himself appear and it has to be starting by controlling his tongue. So Dhritarashtra began his yoga system by drinking water only, sitting calmly in a place with spiritual atmosphere, deeply absorbed in thoughts of Hari, the personality of Godhead. So these preliminary activities of the way of yoga are very, very important. So they are 5: asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dhyan, and dharana. So these 5 are basic. They are very important. And because Maharaj Dhritarashtra was going to attain success in these five, he was going to be successful. And for that, he was seated in a sanctified place. He was concentrating only on one objective, which is Krishna. So all his senses, he had engaged in the service of the Lord. So when all your senses are engaged in service of Lord, the process helps the devotee to get freedom from contaminations of the modes of material nature. And that is why it is always said, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam iti bhakti ruchyate. Passion and ignorance increase the material propensities of hankering for material enjoyment. And if you have a strong sense of lust, then it provokes accumulation of wealth and power. What to speak of that? Even goodness, which is the highest mode, it also is a cause of material bondage. Because even if you conquer say, passion, ignorance, then we go to the platform of goodness, where we have knowledge, where we have morality. But still we may not be able to control the senses. That is the eyes, tongue, nose, ear, and touch. So one who has surrendered himself unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, he can transcend all influences of the modes of material nature and be fixed in the service of the Lord. And Krishna has said it, Mama Maya Duratyaya. So he was very, very clear in his instructions that it is not possible for everyone to get out of this material instructions. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanvam mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samhatma sudurlabha. So obtaining births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So Bhakti Yoga process therefore directly applies the senses to the loving service of the Lord. And this prohibits the performer from engaging in mundane material activities. So this process of turning the senses from material attachment to transcendental service of Lord is pratyahara. And pranayam is the complete process. So ultimately all this will lead in samadhi, that is absorption in pleasing the Supreme Lord Hari by all means. But unfortunately, when we try this, especially in Kali Yuga, it is going to be very, very difficult. And that is why in Kali Yuga, what is recommended is Harer Nam eva kevalam kalau nasti eva gatiranyatha. In Kali Yuga, the yoga which is recommended is Bhakti Yoga. The yajna which is recommended is Harinam Yajna. And we are very grateful to Rupa Goswami ji, who has given all this literature to us, to Srila Prabhupada, who has made it practically so easy for us, and to Guru Maharaj, who has been training us consistently to improve our sadhana, to ensure that we are always in association of devotees, we are always reading the scriptures, we are chanting the holy names, we are taking only Krishna Prasadam and engaging in service to Krishna. Thank you very much.